welcome back to the channel, guys and ghouls. And as we head through October, we now approach not only colder temperatures, but the eve before All Hallows Eve. It's the 30th of October. It's Friday, the 30th of October. Friday means it's countdown day. The 30th of October means that it's the eve before All Hallows Eve, the eve before Halloween, the day before Halloween. You get the idea. And the topic for today's countdown was suggested from tformers.com, and I put it to you guys. The community, votes collected all across social media. Very, very competitive this week. Very competitive this week. But we're going to amass the top 10 Transformers characters that are most Halloween themed, Halloween related. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. Do you like my little, that's my sad attempt at, sounding like a vampire. I'm your host, your most humble host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and of course, hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when all sorts of content goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors NL, The Autobot Family, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe vs. DC Universe vs. Marvel, and Autobot City Central. All of my social media links as well, all of that is down in the description below because I know it's a mouthful. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there's a donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we offer to you through Teespring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube. And this is, of course, the top 10 Transformers themed related characters for Halloween. And, no, Halloween themed related characters from Transformers. Yeah, that probably makes more sense to say it that way. And there were a lot of really close votes this time, and so many wonderful characters. Some people interpreted Halloween themed or Halloween related as the colors, so they went with ones that would have Halloweenish type of color. Some interpreted as like the creepiest and scariest. Some interpreted as those who basically have costumes or other identities. And it's really interesting how people not only interpreted the question, but how the votes fell in the end. So we're going to do the honorable mentions first, like we always do. And in the honorable mentions, we have Transformers Prime, Arachnid. She was so close to making the countdown. I think Arachnid's a great one. The episode where she sort of chases after RC and Jack is like, it's legitimately scary. Like, she is legitimately frightening in that episode. Later on, even her relationship to some of the other Decepticons, the way she prides herself on being the queen of the Insecticons, all of that kind of relates to her being creepy. And of course, creepy does tie to Halloween. So she's the first of our honorable mentions, as well as Autobot Spike, that absolutely, some would say, ungodly, unholy amalgamation of robot parts that Spike's consciousness was put into. I mean, that's some Dr. Frankenstein stuff right there, as well as Dead End, from different continuities, but I put them all together. I would venture to say to you that the most popular and probably sinister version of Dead End was, and that was referenced, was the Revenge of the Fallen version. Transformers Prime was close behind. Ratbat got enough votes to get an honorable mention. A couple of those were for Senator Ratbat, but I put them all together. And Transformers Prime, Predaking. Who I get, man, the dude's a dragon, plus he kind of has Halloween-ish colors with black and orange being predominant. So all of those were the honorable mentions. You know what we're going to do next? We're going to jump into number 10 first. And number 10 takes us to a part of the franchise not often seen here on the channel, that being BotBots, and specifically a BotBot that was destined to be on this list, Halloween Night. The guy's robot mode is a knight, and he turns into a jack-o'-lantern. If ever there was quite simply a Transformers character intended for Halloween, it got to be Halloween Night. and for that reason he takes the number 10 slot. Number 9 is the wolf. That's also a bat. Some say that he's a bit of a werewolf. It is Fangry. And I think it was almost a foregone conclusion as well that Fangry was going to be on this. I mean, everything about him screams Halloween, from his bat wings to his wolf head to like the kind of howling at the moon type of mentality to him just being like a weird, creepy monster thing. Everything about this screams Halloween, and a lot of people thought the same thing, and for that reason he takes the number 9 slot. Number 8 is pretty much a double of number 9, except instead of being a Titan Master representation, I have actual full size deluxe representation. It is Grotesque. And Grotesque, really for the exact same reason as Fangry. That's the justifications that people got for voting for this guy, with his weird monster mode, being something with like bat wings and fur and what seems to be like a wolfish type of head. I don't know exactly what the guy turns into. It's a monster, a creepy monster, and creepy monsters are kind of the go-to for Halloween. And a lot of people thought the same thing, and for that reason he takes the number 8 slot. Now number 7 is perhaps the simplest justification on this list. It's Starscream. Well, it's not exactly Starscream. More appropriately, it's Starscream's ghost. No, I don't have a clear version of Starscream to be featured as Starscream's ghost. Makes sense, and everybody said the same thing. Because he's a ghost. That's it. That's about as creepy and Halloween as you get. Dude's a ghost. And he stirs up trouble. If anything, maybe it should be Starscream's poltergeist. A lot of people really point out to him taking over Scourge's body and really sort of wreaking havoc with him. But anyway you cut it, because Starscream was a ghost, and that is the epitome of Halloween, he was able to clinch enough votes to tie himself up at the number 7 slot. Now number 6 was a weird one, if I'm perfectly honest. It's technically Cliffjumper, not this Cliffjumper, the Transformers Prime Cliffjumper. Well, not even quite the Transformers Prime Cliffjumper, the Terracon Transformers Prime Cliffjumper. A lot of people just wanted to vote for the Terracons themselves, and those Terracons being the zombie ones from Transformers Prime, mostly. And I said, that's groups. Even if you mean the G1, it's a group. You can't, it doesn't really work, man. It does not really work. So a lot of people then came back, and I said, you need to be more specific, and they would come back and they would vote for Terracon Cliffjumper. And I get it, you know, the oozing energon, the mindless zombie-like nature, it's all very terrifying and scary, and that absolutely screams Halloween. Zombie Cliffjumper, Zombie Optimus Prime, Zombie Viacon, any of the zombies could really count. But when I asked for people to be specific, they went right to Cliffjumper, and for that reason, he takes the number 6 slot. Ah, yes. We are at the most sacred of locations, the halfway mark. And who's at the halfway mark, you may ask? Well, before we do that, I just wanted to point out that 10, 9, 8, and 7 all had the exact same number of votes. 6 had a couple of more votes. Now 5 had yet a couple of more votes. And while I have a representation of this guy here in robot mode, I think most people were referring, when they cast their vote, to his monster mode. A lot of people said the monster bots. But when I asked for specific names, they said either Grotesque or this guy, Repugnus. And they specifically said that his glaring green eyes, along with his like big kind of cutting chompers on the side, and his very toothy, mouthy smile, all of that went together to make this weird monster into something to be feared, not revered. And for that reason, he was able to garner enough votes to really seal himself in at the number 5 slot. Now number 4, honestly, I thought was going to have a strong run toward number 1. When a lot of people said, you want something Halloween related? How about an entire combiner made up of monsters? Talking, of course, about Monstructor. Now, some people know Monstructor as Dino King, but the Monstructor iteration is far more sinister. I mean, his origins are basically in like blackness and cloaked in darkness. You know, his shadow alone causes fear and grief. Dread follows him everywhere. He even drains life from everything around him when he encounters it. He's made up of monsters, and then those monsters have pretender monster shells. It's monsters upon monsters upon monsters. All of them with foreboding, all of them with danger, and all of them literally draining life into blackness around them. That seems about as Halloween as I can possibly think of in every way, shape, or form. Whether you're talking about the multitude of colors that make up Monstructor, the monster motif, or just the bleak darkness of a life-draining force. All of it goes together to give this guy enough votes to tie things up at the number 4 slot. By the way, we could probably really use an update of Monstructor, don't you think? And now that we're in the top 3, we're going to stick with the Pretender motif for number 3. And this Pretender in particular is one that really stands out because not only is it an example of, a character who basically wears a costume, their Pretender shell, but this might be one of the creepiest, certainly one of the most memorable, if not one of the most haunting Pretender shells. I'm talking about Skullgrin with his skull that's grinning. It's the weirdest head sculpt, but one of the creepiest, one of the most disturbing. If you're actually talking about his Pretender form, I mean, he's gray and black and purple, very sort of Halloween-y colors, and then like the molding on that shell is all about layers and strong arms, but then the rest of it is like the skin kind of sagging and slogging. It is the epitome of a monster from your nightmares. And a monster from your nightmares is absolutely Halloween inducing, and for that reason Skullgrin takes the number 3 slot. Now number 2 is very soon actually going to be getting a reissue, and this guy I personally this was the first name that I thought of when this question came up. I don't vote, but this is the one I probably would have voted for myself. I'm talking about he who turns into a bat, he who has mind control powers, and he who even speaks like he is a vampire. I'm talking about Mindwipe. And his partner even has like a creepy kind of gothic type of mysterious name, being Vorath. That sounds foreboding alone right there. Even though Vorath is nothing compared to the kind of mind-controlling evil that is Mindwipe. And even with a name like Mindwipe, like that too sounds intimidating. Everything about this guy screams like a horror movie. Everything about this guy screams, it's time to be scared. Everything about this guy screams Halloween, and for that reason he took the number 2 slot. Now a lot of times, number 1 is far and away the winner, but not this time. It was actually a really, really close vote among the top 4. Anyone could have taken it. But I think it's kind of fitting that this character took it because this character embodies Halloween in whatever sort of definition that you want to give it. I'm talking about Bludgeon. When it comes to like a kind of a creepy, mysterious, foreboding Halloween name, Bludgeon, enough said. When it comes to the coloration, Bludgeon, whatever iteration he is always bathed with a lot of oranges, a lot of either greens or purples. All of that I think would kind of count as Halloween colors. By rights he's a Pretender, so he actually wears a costume, and that costume is somewhat horrific, being a skull face with like a samurai helmet. So his look, his colors, his name, and even his personality, he's noted as being absolutely brutal, vicious, somewhat sadistic. He cares about nothing. It's the power, it's the chaos, it's the violence that this guy loves. Everything about this guy, in every conceivable iteration that you can come up with, absolutely embodies everything that Halloween is. And fittingly so, I think this guy absolutely deserves his place at the number 1 spot for the top 10 most Halloween-related Transformers. And there you have it once again, man. We have gone from 10 down to 1, and we had a lot of fun doing it. Some others that got some votes here. Let's see, Cutthroat got some votes from the Terracons, as well as Abominus. Abominus himself got a bunch of votes. The Quintessons got some votes, especially the Judge. Who else got votes here? Octopunch. His name cracks me up, but Octopunch does look horrific. There's no doubt about it. Who else got some votes here? What about this weird, like, Donald Duck and, like, Mickey Mouse Transformer, and, like, they're in Halloween costumes? Sorry, dressed up as Optimus Prime got some votes. What else here? Horrible got some votes, or Terrible, whatever you want to call them. The Megatron Ratchet amalgamation from the comics years ago got a couple of votes. Nah got a couple of votes. as well as Torka got a couple of votes, and let's see, let's just throw in Silas. Silas even got a vote. So there was a lot of really interesting ones. I could go on. There were a lot of different characters that got votes here. Sunder, not the bird. Go look up Transformer Sunder from the comics. The thing is disturbing. Didn't get enough, but those who voted, like, vehemently voted for Sunder. Probably because the dude, like, loses his mind and goes on, like, a murderous rampage. That's pretty Halloween-y. Anyway, let me know what you think about the list. Who would you have included? Who would you have left off? Or do you think that went just about right? I appreciate you guys coming by, man. Giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you if you're in a position to help the channel to grow. You can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Teespring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member, man. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us. Don't forget that somehow, someway, each and every single solitary day, man, you do make a difference. Happy Halloween, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here, inside the videos.